television channel. In examining this footage, we have found some extraordinary video events.
It was downlinked live during the entire 11-day mission, and in this case, no one can dispute that.
So this video was available to anyone who watched the mission on NASA Select Television.
Anyone.
Okay, let's take a look at the footage.
This is Mission Control. Endeavour's just now crossing over Baja, Mexico. A course that will take it across the west coast of Mexico shortly.
Paul, this is our first event you're looking at now. If you look in
this view looking up towards the U.S.-Mexico border.
If you look at the bottom right, what is this is the atmosphere there and the air glow. Now the iris is being adjusted for the city, so the stars are now disappearing, as you see. As the iris closes to accommodate, and there's your event crossing right over the horizon. What do you think?
Well, it's pretty impressive. It's certainly bright enough.
It must be extremely large, and we're going to now look at a close-up of this event. What do you, how big do you think that is?
It's hard to tell, but it must be of some size because it obviously goes behind.
Just give you another look at this. It's quite spectacular. Something. Spectacular, as he says. I agree. We're going to move on to another event now, Paul. We're just letting this one run a little longer. This one, Paul, this is another of the night shots. They like to put the night shots up when it's...
In addition to completing the pre-flight plan, the two crew members also were able to gather some additional insulation that will be...
Okay, Paul.
It will be fashioned into some new covers for the old or the existing
we're going to see some projectile type. There's a projectile going from the bottom right up the screen to the left. There's another projectile, bottom right, coming up the screen. It's in the center now and moving up towards the top to the left. What do you make of that, Paul?
It's hard to say, but it's quite spectacular, to say the least.
This next one is a shot from the Space Shuttle Endeavour, and it's of the Hubble Space Telescope after release. Look up to the top right. There's something twinkling there, and apparently there's... well, they're zooming in here, and the Hubble would be following it. Now look at this little thing, Paul. What is that moving below the Hubble from right side screen to the left? What do you think that is? Is that a meteor?
It looks too slow to be a meteor.
Doesn't seem to be paying much attention to the Hubble. It's moseying right along under there. I don't think that's supposed to be there, but nevertheless. Now our attention is drawn to this flashing light above the Hubble, above the right of the Hubble. It seems to be strobing.
Yeah, it seems to be pulsating, and it's keeping its position.
Oh, they've got a lot of sunlight refracting right in the camera lens here. Now this thing's still hanging in there, and it's pulsating, and it seems to be staying in that position. If it's a star, it would have moved off.
Oh yeah, and stars do not pulsate like that either.
And if there were stars, there'd be a lot more than one.
Oh yeah, there's only one object that you can see.
Now we saw this one's pretty blatant. There it is. There's a light in the top half. You can see it just left side of the screen at the top. It's just pulsating, strobing, and just sort of floating off. Paul, comment on that?
It just looks similar to what we've seen before, and I just have no explanation at this point.
My only comment is that really shouldn't be there. And there's nothing going on, no astronauts out there. These are all shots while they're sleeping. And as you see, nothing else.
Our lightning that in the high clouds, using these low light cameras, the lightning is very readily visible, and we often use them to watch lightning on the earth below.
This ball on the right-hand side of the picture at the bottom that's extremely bright, and as you see, the stars are almost invisible. It's extremely bright. It's moving towards the Earth, and Paul, the stars are moving away.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case.
And as you see, it's still bright as the picture gets duller and duller, and the iris is closed. It's extremely bright and moving continually towards the horizon as the stars, and if you have a VTR you can check this, when the light was a little brighter, are moving down away from the Earth. This ball is extremely bright and still moving towards the Earth.
Yeah, it's moving in the opposite direction that the stars are.
In other words, there's not supposed to be anything moving in the other direction.
No, it's not part of the background then. It's something different.
Exactly, and that is quite unusual. As I say, you can see the iris is of the camera is closed, and most of the stars are invisible, except for this ball on the left side, which is the horizon marker. This bright light's practically the brightest thing on the screen now. Continues to move towards the Earth.
Yes, it's getting closer all the time.
And they mysteriously there's a light on the right that appears to be heading towards the Hubble as the astronauts are busy doing their work. And what do you make of that? That's pretty blatant.
It's pretty obvious, yeah, and it's moving in a straight horizontal line. It just seems to be moving slowly, just doing its thing.
It was funny when I was watching the highlights. I never saw it because they cut to it after the light had disappeared. But this one, I don't know how you could miss that one. Just kind of, it's just there, and it makes its way. And if you have a stop frame, you can see it just tucks behind them and then goes behind the Hubble. There it is.
Yeah, you don't see any other stars visible or either, nothing, just that one light.
That would have had to be another one of these really bright dots. See that?
I see that.
Now, if it slowly makes its way down and then just off screen.
Okay, we copy, Jeff, thanks.
I don't think you could miss that one either.
No, it's pretty bright.
And again, there's absolutely no other stars or anything, and you can see it's moving away.
As it moves above Central Africa,
and
of course that will take it across the
notice they pan off that.
Yeah, I've noticed they tend
Middle
to do
East.
that quite often.
Seem to zoom into space and catch something very unusual here. It has to be close, and as you can see, it's now captured. And they're getting a light refracting. This seems to be, now look at that. Look at the center.
Yeah, it's quite unusual.
I would say it's unusual, and again, they're now supposedly looking at close-ups of the wing. That was quite spectacular, and we recommend you take a good close look at that. To the right of that long white aerial, there I see it strobing there. Big strobe there. You can see it there. Pretty big strobes on this.
Yes, I would say so. They seem to be behaving like they're under intelligent control, that's for sure.
There. One's moving towards the strobing one. You see the one there? Picture center left, and then the strobing one on the right there. Now, the strobing one's holding its position while this one on the right approaches it, or on the left approaches it.
Yes, I can see that.
Whoa, that was quite a strobe there. Certainly appears to be a lot more going on out there than I was ever led to believe.
Well, as far as I know, satellites do not have strobe lights on them, and they don't move in these kind of patterns either. They keep a consistent orbit.
That's how I understand.